Well, hello everyone. This is Lars Holmquist here at the Loyalty Summit in Los Angeles, and I have with me Dave Canty, who I've known for many years, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Built Rewards program. But let's kick this off first, Dave, if you will. You've been in loyalty a long time. Please share a little bit about your journey with loyalty over the years and what brought you to this place.
I have. Hi, Lars. How are you? Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been in loyalty just shy of 30 years, I would say. I came to the United States to join ITT Sheraton. They had a program called Sheraton Club International and wanted to bring it in-house, and I was asked if I would help with that initiative. ITT Sheraton ultimately got bought by Starwood Hotels and Resorts, and I hear they're coming back, which is a pretty cool announcement. And when Starwood decided that, look, we want to create the best loyalty program in the world, I was part of the team that ultimately came up with SPG, the much loved program that ultimately got consumed by Marriott Bonvoy. Stepped out of the travel space for a year and moved to the south, the mid-south actually, moved to Memphis to join AutoZone and create the AutoZone Rewards program, which was the first auto parts rewards program in the industry. It was very cool to work on that. But realized that, you know, the travel space was somewhere I was a little bit more comfortable than alternators and batteries, so I went back to New York to join JetBlue and create the TrueBlue program, which at the time was very cool because it was an opportunity to challenge the industry. So TrueBlue was the first revenue-based program for a major airline in the United States. So you had to kind of look at ways in which you could challenge people to adjust their mindset away from mileage to revenue. And ultimately, the industry followed. Moved back down to the south to Atlanta to join IHG and ran all of their programs globally. So IHG, which is now One Rewards, IHG Business Rewards, IHG Dining Rewards in the Middle East and Asia, and Kimpton, which was another thing. And here I am now at Built, and it's been quite the journey, but it's been every step along the way has been great, and now at Built, it's just kind of like the cherry on the top.
Well, I was hoping you would give all of that background because not everyone has an opportunity to build something brand new.
Yep.
So, Built Rewards, it's a new program. It's in a new sector. Maybe you could spend just a minute to describe what it is in terms of it as a program and how it's structured, et cetera, and then we can get into some of the ways you reach consumers.
Sure. I would say that Built is now the largest connected commerce platform for housing, neighborhood, travel I would say in the world, but let's just say in the US. What does that mean? So Built was developed on a very simple concept of rewarding people for paying their rent. It was something that it seemed to be an obvious challenge to address. So when our founder, Ankur Jain, was looking at what are the most impactful social challenges for the young people of today, he saw that rent was something that wasn't being addressed. So we created a program that allowed you to earn points on rent and then ultimately be able to redeem those either towards rent or down payment on a home, or as we build out the ecosystem with partners, travel, fitness, and out dining and other elements of your neighborhood. So that's been an extraordinary journey in the sense that we were creating something from scratch, as you mentioned. But we also wanted to make sure that it was impactful in every stage of your life. So while we started with rent and that being your largest outgoing expense, we wanted to ensure that we were also rewarding you for supporting your local neighborhood. Now, if you think about spend today outside of the home, 70 or 80% of that happens within a 15-mile radius of your home. So there are a lot of local merchants that are relying on you to engage with them, and we felt that that's an opportunity for us to kind of go out and work with our partners in the real estate side to encourage people to support their local neighborhood. So we've built out the built neighborhood, and so far it's been great.
Well, it's interesting because you were with Built from the very beginning.
Yep.
As the program's being designed, what made you focus on a points-based loyalty program? Why did you think that might resonate with this particular audience?
It's a good question because our audience is much younger. It's like 24 to 34, median of about 29. These are people that aren't traditionally kind of points-hungry people. But we also wanted to try and ensure that whatever we came up with was a concept that resonated. We also wanted to ensure that if we were going to create a currency and introduce something, it had to have ubiquity, and it had to have a level of consistency from a value perspective. The travel space has been dominated by points and miles for many years. However, there's complexities that have come in to lots of programs over time, which means your younger audience are kind of switching off, and they're kind of going, I don't really need to kind of navigate all of these areas. We looked at ways in which we could make sure that the value proposition was very simple to understand. So it was 1 point per dollar spent on rent. We were going to reward that. We built on that beyond rent then when we started looking at neighborhood spend, and travel just seemed to be an area where everybody aspires to kind of go on that trip. And we wanted to see if there was a way in which we could introduce those types of lifestyle elements that were meaningful to our customers. And in doing so, it allowed us to basically even come up with the idea that, hey, you can travel the world just by paying your rent. So it was a very simple message.
But a compelling message to this audience. I'm curious, you had a chance to, with your experience, look at loads of different loyalty concepts over the years in a variety of different sectors. Anything that you can think of that you wanted to avoid doing now that you had a chance to build this new program and address a particular audience that, shall we say, has been resistant to some traditional models? What were some of the things that you tried to avoid doing, or learnings that you took from those other experiences and do differently in Built?
I think the most important thing is, regardless of what you're doing, whether you're doing it from scratch or whether you're looking to evolve an existing program, is you've got to take your target audience on the journey with you. So we made sure from the very, very beginning that we went out and we were actually asking people what are the things that are most meaningful to them. And we also made sure that we communicated with them what we were going to go and do about it. A good example of that, which happened by chance really, was when we first started out and said we want the concept to be simple. One of the benefits that we hadn't thought of but was kind of brought back to us by our customers was that they wanted to improve their credit scores. Who knew that your largest outgoing expense, rent, was never being reported to the credit agencies? So it wasn't building your credit, which is a huge gap. And all of a sudden we said, look, if there's a way for us to do that, we will report your credit to all 3 credit agencies, and we will help you build your credit. And over time, that down the road, we hope, leads to an opportunity for you to purchase a home and save you thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars when you want to originate that mortgage. So those were some of the kind of revelations, but we would never have got that if we hadn't have brought the customer, the target customer, on the journey with us from the beginning.
That's an interesting revelation. That's probably not something that you went into this expecting that would become a core value in what you're delivering to your consumers. And then bringing that notion then into the loyalty program. I'm interested, you had said something about an ecosystem before, and perhaps for the listeners it'd be helpful to describe that ecosystem a little bit, because obviously there's the consumer, there's the member of the rewards program, but what are the other key constituents that cause this ecosystem to work in a way that drives real value to the consumer?
So if you think about it from the perspective of, and I mentioned connected commerce at the very beginning, so we started out all around housing. So what we started at rent, we're now going to be in mortgages in 2025. So we're going to be actually we're going to be servicing mortgages and allowing you to pay those through the Build platform in 2025. And we expect that we could be processing up to 1 in 7 mortgages in the country. We're already processing 1 in 4 rent payments in the country.
Wow, 1 in 4, that's amazing.
And if you think about rent, there's $700 billion a year spent on rent. There is $1.4 trillion spent on mortgages every year. So we're building out that housing ecosystem that allows us to ensure that we're being relevant in whether it be rent or whether it be home ownership. And of course, we want to make sure that when you're paying your rent, we're helping you get to home ownership by boosting your credit score.
So I think I understand the consumer value proposition, but you had to either have an army of people signing up, apartments, landlords of various sorts to be able to participate in this program. How did you sort of get the critical mass needed to command, 1 in 4 transactions effectively rent in the country? That's amazing.
Sure, I'll answer that, then I'll come back to the ecosystem piece as well. So we wanted to create what we call the Built Alliance, and the way we approached that was some ways. If you think about Star Alliance in the airline space, where it's multiple different brands kind of coming together for the same customer, we decided to create a housing alliance. So whether it be GID, who are here, whether it be the related group, Avalon Bay, all of them, we went out and we spoke to them about what are the challenges that they're facing today, and one of those is the retention and bringing new renters in and retaining existing renters. There's about a 50% turnover rate in the rental market every year where people move. So we basically said, we're going to create a program that allows you to target these people, to incent them and so forth. There's $300 billion alone spent on incentivizing customers to either sign a new lease or renew a lease, and the opportunity for Built to be able to be the platform that enables that just seemed to make sense. So we went about it that way. So Built now is a tool and a platform that allows our property managers to basically engage their existing and future residents.
Just to clarify, so property managers is the constituent then that needed to sign on to this idea as you built out this network?
Yeah, owners and property managers, correct. So once, it's one of those things that sometimes you don't know a dog until it bites you. And it was a simple concept that we basically were able to go out to these property managers and say, hey, we can actually do all of this for you and reduce your costs. So we did that. And then we looked at what are the other elements of your life that are meaningful to you. So that's when we kind of started getting into the travel and lifestyle piece. So we're rewarding that and making that accessible. And then we started looking at the neighborhood piece, so bringing the local merchants into place. So all of a sudden you've got all three constituents essentially kind of coming into play, and that's why we're now the most relevant program in your life, from your first rent payment all the way to home ownership and everything that you do in between, whether it's going to the local cafe. By the way, we just launched the Built Neighborhood Cafe in our headquarters in Bond Street, so if you're ever in the NoHo area of New York, stop by, have a coffee, and have a chat. You can even meet the Built team who are in the office at the back. But what we wanted to try and do was make sure that we were connecting all elements. And then when we were speaking to our partners and saying, look, not just our property partners, but our travel partners and our fitness partners, and now we're in the health space with Walgreens as well. We started talking to them about really kind of making sure that we can have a meaningful effect on your local neighborhood and the lives of the people that live within it.
The concept is so compelling. I think a lot of loyalty practitioners are probably thinking, oh my goodness, did you need an army to sign up all of these community merchants? How did you effectively find a way to get them to participate in a cost-effective manner?
It's a great question. So if you think, it's actually, it's a great question with a very simple answer, surprisingly. So if you think about when somebody moves into an apartment and they get like a welcome kit, and that welcome kit generally is saying, hey, go down to Joe's coffee shop on the corner and here's kind of like, a free coffee for your first kind of purchase, or a free donut with your first coffee. Go to the local laundrette and you get 10% off and whatever. Those relationships were already there between the property managers and the local merchants. We just basically said there's a way for us to make this much easier and much more integrated. So we used Built as that we integrated with all of the point of sale systems, and basically said, look, there's a way for us to go out there now and encourage residents not just to go and have a one and done coupon interaction with you, but we can actually create repetitive behavior by rewarding people with Built points to go and participate. So the relationships were already there with the local merchants. We just decided that we would digitize it and take it to another level, and then build on it from there. And the other thing as well is if you think about hotels, okay? Lots of people look at hotels as destinations for when you kind of go on vacation. Well, you have restaurants and bars in hotels that are in your local neighborhood. We can actually activate our members to actually go to your hotel, have a meal, enjoy a drink, interact with their local community. And we're working with partners now on seeing if there's a way in which we can, if they have guests coming into, I might have a 2-bedroom apartment in Manhattan and my parents are coming, but my apartment is a little bit of a cubby hole. So I might kind of have a deal with a local hotel that says, hey, my parents are coming into town, can I get a rate? So we're working with partners on that kind of stuff. And then we also want to try and see if there's a way in which we can kind of actually go multi-partner and bring that together. So a typical example of that is working with one of our airline partners that basically says, hey, if you choose this airline to fly from New York to Paris, and you purchase your ticket by this particular date, we will throw in a lift credit to allow you to get to the airport. And then we might work with a hotel partner that says, by the way, and when you get to the other side in Paris, here's an opportunity for you to engage with this hotel and these local neighborhood merchants based on your behavior and your likes at home.
It's really fascinating because it is a profoundly scalable network and ecosystem, and yet the magic seems to be that the consumer sees it as a really local benefit, empowering their community, their neighborhood.
Yeah. None of this would have been possible without the vision of our CEO, Ankur Jain. He has an energy that allows us to kind of continuously peel back the onion and see what the next layer is. I think the other thing about Built is as we've gone along and peeled back that onion, we've been nimble enough to make sure that we're continuously listening. We get feedback every day about what works and what we can improve on, and we continuously look to improve. And seeing how you can meaningfully affect a person's life and lifestyle allows you to actually really peel the onion back and scale. And I think it might sound crazy, but I actually think we're still in the infancy. There's so many things that have happened just in the short period of time that we've been around, but we're continuing to ensure that we connect across all constituents.
One of the things that has been a recurring theme at this conference is how brands can engage with their customers in between moments of truth, actual interaction points, whether it's an in-store or an online purchase or whatever it might be. It seems like you've sort of bridged that by bringing in a lot of partnerships that you can interact with your members much more frequently. I think a lot of brands would love to be able to find a way to do that.
So the interesting thing is a lot of brands are trying to build the frequency of visits from their customers. We're lucky in the sense that you have to pay your rent every single month, all right? So there's a reason for you to engage with the Built app at least 12 times a year. So in between each rent payment, we try and make sure that there's opportunities for you to actually engage with other areas of our ecosystem. So the repeat visits to the Built app and the utility within the Built app is far and away what we had envisaged at the very beginning. So like through the Built app now, not only can you search for a Built dining restaurant in the neighborhood, but we're also integrated with Resi, we're integrated with OpenTable, with all of these different reservation systems. And you can actually make a reservation through the Built app. You can actually pay your restaurant bill with your house account in the in your residence. So all these things are coming to fruition, and I think there's a way in which what excites me is that as we work with other partners, we're starting to see that there's an opportunity to actually bring multi-partners together and see that there's a way in which you can actually have people engage not just with you, but with them on an ongoing basis. It's not just a one-off. We run Rent Day, obviously, every month. Rent Day is a very kind of cool, we've made the whole rent experience kind of cool. Before, nobody looked forward to paying the rent, but now we kind of start revealing offers about 3 to 4 days before the first of the month, where we've worked with partners to really kind of put together a compelling benefits and content and so forth and access for our members. And that allows them to kind of really get into the DNA of our, not just our program, but connect with our customers in a much more meaningful way.
Interesting. We have just time for one more question, but I'm curious how you navigate the balance in terms of what the right level of communications might be. You do have that moment once a month where you are interacting or can expect an interaction with your consumers, but what's the right amount of intervention in between those times that we were just talking about, and how do you find that balance?
So first of all, it's got to be meaningful. I think what we try and do is it kind of gets back to relevancy as well. We have about a 70% open rate in our emails. Now, we don't email people frequently, but when we do, it has valuable information, valuable content, meaningful content, okay? So what we try and do is ensure that when somebody comes into the Built Rewards app, you will see, the first thing you'll see when you get in is a tab that basically is tailored specifically for you, okay? And all the offers and messaging in here is really targeted to you based on your behavior. So we're using a lot of intelligence and AI to ensure that whatever we're putting together is relevant. So you may not see exactly the same as me, okay? And I think what we're trying to do is when we communicate with customers, we're actually doing it in such a way where they don't feel like they're being intruded. We're not being intrusive. We're actually being beneficial and informative and engaging.
And it sounds like your primary engagement point is, in fact, the Built app.
Built app
because it's so personalized.
Correct. Or even Built.com is also bringing that to life in there. So I would encourage people to download the Built Rewards app and have a look at Built.com.
Well, that's fantastic. And clearly some of that experience has been brought into the way this has been put together. Fascinating program. Can't wait to see. If you said it's just at its infancy, I can't wait to see where it goes.
And just to be clear, this is not because of me. I've just been a very small part of it. There's a team of absolutely passionate, intelligent, intelligent, and they're just a great team that basically come up with ideas and want to execute effectively. We talk on a daily basis. We basically publish our daily wins to each other. Every single team has to publish what they're winning on today. And that's important because that allows us for all of us to have visibility into where we are and what's going forward. So
I think a lot of us in loyalty would enjoy having that kind of environment, would find it very liberating in terms of a place where you can put forward ideas, bat them around a little bit, and take those ideas to actions quite quickly.
Totally. It's something that is very cool to be part of, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today. Again, we're at the Loyalty Summit in Los Angeles, and Dave will be participating in a number of panels here. And it's always interesting and great fun to speak with you, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Lars. Cheers.